What's up, guys? I'm back with another Hockey Legends video. Got some positive feedback actually from a few of you on the last video, the Howie Morenz one. Wasn't sure how that was going to turn out, but a couple of you seemed to like it, and I really do enjoy the kind words, so thanks for that. Today we're going to be talking about none other than the great Guy Lafleur. Lafleur was a Montreal Canadiens legend whose speed was unmatched during his time in the NHL. With many Stanley Cups and multiple 100-point seasons, Guy Lafleur was a generational talent and was part of possibly the best Montreal Canadiens teams. Quite possibly the best teams in the NHL for that matter. Without further ado, let's jump into the life and career of Canadiens legend Guy Lafleur. Guy Lafleur was born on September 20th, 1951 in Thurso, Quebec. He started playing hockey at the age of 5 after receiving his first hockey stick as a Christmas present. As a youth, he played in the Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament 3 consecutive years from 1962 to 1964. He scored a tournament record of 64 points in those 3 years. The Quebec Pee Wee tournament is as good as it gets for young hockey players, as only the best teams from all over the world are invited. Today, this tournament is huge and thousands of fans watch every year, selling out the buildings they play in. Lafleur, putting up 64 points in 3 years in this tournament, shows just how good he was as a kid, and he started getting the reputation of a prodigy throughout Quebec and the hockey world. Lafleur played for the Quebec Ramparts in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, where he led his team to the Memorial Cup in 1971, scoring 130 regular season goals. 130 goals. It's crazy. At the time, Lafleur idolized Jean Beliveau and Bobby Orr. He gained the nickname Le Turbo de Thurso while playing for the Ramparts because of his speed on the ice. With Lafleur and fellow Quebecer Marcel Dionne among the top prospects in the 1971 NHL draft, the Montreal Canadiens general manager Sam Pollock was keen to find a way to trade to obtain one of the top 2 picks. He persuaded California Golden Seals owner Charlie Finley to trade the Seals' 1971 first-round pick and Francois Lacombe in return for Montreal's 1970 first-round pick and veteran Ernie Hickey. Oakland finished last that year, leaving Montreal with their first overall pick. Pollock hesitated between Lafleur and Dionne, but chose Lafleur with the first draft choice. Guy Lafleur started his NHL career with the Montreal Canadiens in the 71-72 NHL season, putting up 29 goals, 35 assists for 64 points. The following year, he put up 55 points, which is a 9-point drop. Nothing major, but he's not living up to his prodigy status quite yet. The Canadiens played 17 playoff games that year. In just his second season with the Montreal Canadiens, they win the Stanley Cup that year, and Guy Lafleur puts up 3 goals, 5 assists for 8 points. Not a major contributor, but not bad. He's still very young. In his third NHL season, he plays 73 games, getting 21 goals, 35 assists for 56 points. That's his lowest goal total yet. He's still very young, but people are starting to ask questions. Is he the guy who they thought he would be? However, the next season, 70 games played, 53 goals, 66 assists for 119 points. Guy Lafleur has arrived. In 11 playoff games, he gets 12 goals in 11 games, 7 assists, and 19 points. They don't win the Stanley Cup that year, but the next 4 years, the Montreal Canadiens will hoist the Stanley Cup. In the 75-76 season, he puts up 56 goals, 69 assists for 129 points, as well as 17 points in the playoffs. The next year, 56 goals again, 80 assists for 136 points, which will be his career high. And at the time was, I think, the highest ever point totals except for Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito. I could be wrong on that. This is just off the top of my head, but I believe that's true. He puts up 9 goals, 17 assists for 26 points in the playoffs. Again, his career high. These are outrageous numbers, especially for the time. Following season, 60 goals, so career high in goals, and 132 points. Stanley Cup again. This is a dynasty. 4 Stanley Cups in 4 years, 5 and 7. Yeah, 5 and 7 years. The next year, 52 goals, 50 goals again. This is his 4th year, scoring 50 plus goals, 129 points, and another Stanley Cup, 23 points in 16 playoff games. The following year, 50 goals, again, 75 assists, 125 points. This year, no Stanley Cup. They actually make a first round exit, but he still puts up 3 goals and 4 points in those 3 playoff games. With Ken Dryden, Jacques Lemaire, and several other key players retiring after the conclusion of the 1979 season, the Canadiens' Stanley Cup dynasty came to an end. Injuries shortened Lafleur's 80-81 season and his production dropped significantly. While driving home on March 24, 1981, Lafleur fell asleep at the wheel of his Cadillac and crashed into a highway fence. A metal post pierced the windshield, missing his head by just about an inch while just grazing his right ear. In the 1980-81 season, Lafleur appeared in only 51 games and scored 27 goals, which was his lowest total in goals since the 73-74 season. The next few seasons would be very similar for Lafleur. While he still put up decent numbers, they weren't up to his standards that he was playing in the mid to late 1970s, where he put up 6 consecutive 50-goal seasons. Former teammate Jacques Lemaire became the coach of the Canadiens and had a very heavy emphasis on defense. Lafleur always considered his offensive output to offset his defensive output, and this caused a rift between coach and player. Jacques Lemaire was beginning to get on Guy Lafleur's case about his defensive efforts, which caused Guy Lafleur to ask for a trade in the 85 season. General manager Serge Savard refused Lafleur's request, as trading one of the most popular players in Canadiens history would have incurred a severe backlash from fans. With no other options, Lafleur decided to retire. His departure from the Canadiens was an insane shock to the Montreal and the hockey world. After being inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame, Lafleur came out of retirement to return to the NHL for 3 more seasons. From the 1988 through the 1991 seasons, he played with the New York Rangers and the Quebec Nordiques. Lafleur remained one of few players who did not wear protective helmets that were grandfathered into the NHL. According to Wayne Gretzky, Lafleur was quicker and faster without wearing full shoulder pads. Lafleur would play his final NHL season in the 1990-91 year, scoring 12 goals and 28 points in 59 games. Guy Lafleur would finish his career with 1,126 games played, 560 goals, 793 assists for 1,353 points, as well as 134 playoff points in 128 games, earning 5 Stanley Cups, 3 Art Ross trophies as the league's leading scorer, 2 Hart trophies as the league's MVP, and 1 Conn Smythe trophy, as well as 3 Lester B. Pearson awards. Guy Lafleur was a heavy smoker throughout his time in the NHL, as many players were back then, and unfortunately he began having health issues in 2019. He had open heart surgery with 5 bypasses. Although the operation was a success, Lafleur was diagnosed with lung cancer. Lafleur died on April 22, 2022 at age 70, exactly 1 week after Mike Bossy, who also succumbed to lung cancer. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned maybe a thing or two about Guy Lafleur. I'm sure if you're watching this, you already know all about him, as he is an iconic hockey legend. If you did enjoy the video, please consider liking and subscribing. This is just my second video, so I know it's probably not the greatest, but I hope I did do a little bit better if you did watch my first video. Anyways, hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.